Hello, it's Chris Copper, aka Noir Vortex, and this is going to be a vlog where I talk about my new short story collection, Suicide by Computation. What better place to do that than on a balcony in a camp in Russia? Camp Frekalata, where I teach in English. But anyway, Suicide by Computation is a new short story collection. I'm self-publishing. It should be available on Amazon soon, and as an ebook online as well. Suicide by Computation is a collection of 9 stories which deal with many different questions commonly explored in science fiction, I suppose, and also some maybe not so commonly explored, maybe. So there's 9 stories, like I said. Some of them being previously published. There's also audio versions of some of them that are available. So, for example, if you want a taster of what's in the book, then there's an audio version of Carol who deals in boxes, which you can listen to on this channel. I'll link to it below. Also, there's an audio version of the story The Oddballs Will Inherit the Earth, which is one of the longest short stories, and there's an audio version of that, which I'll link to below as well. But the entire collection is 9 stories long, spanning genres, so some of it's very speculative, strange, experimental science fiction. Some of it's even influenced by Kafka, in a sense. One of them, Oppenheimer Blue, certainly comes under that, in a very obvious way in some respects. Without wanting to spoil it, there is a Kafkaesque feeling to that story. Virtual reality is a common theme that's explored in the stories. Simulated reality. So I'm very much inspired by Philip K. Dick. He's been a writer that's been a very great inspiration to me. Also Frank Herbert, I suppose, maybe. Dune. The greats. But also experimental literature, I suppose, as well. I'll be reading The Master and Margarita of late, which is quite a strange story set in Russia. But anyway, without going too far to my influences, there's another story called The Paradox Philosophy. A lot of them are inspired by philosophical ideas, the stories. So there's one that's called The Paradox Philosophy, which is about a man who works in a futuristic London. I mean, basically, I can't go into too much intellectual detail on the stories, but suffice to say, they all explore interesting subject matter, I guess. So, simulated realities, madness. If you're into simulated realities, if you're into madness, if you're into space, if you're into cosmos, if you're into stories that explore questions of what makes us human, what makes us machine, artificial intelligence. If you're into stories that explore revolutionary ideas versus like pragmatic ideas, or that whole dichotomy, there's a lot of that explored as well in the stories. So yeah, it's going to be available. The title of the thing is just, I sort of like the ring of it, and actually, funnily enough, like someone I talked to about these stories said there's a lot of like characters going into a sort of oblivion in them. So again, I don't want to spoil this entire stories, but if there's a sense of that sort of oblivion in them, and I guess that's partly why it's titled Suicide by Computation. So this idea of a calculated oblivion or something. But yeah, you can. It's my first short stories collection, or collection of prose writing that I've ever done. I'm quite new to writing fiction. I've been writing poetry for a lot of years, but when it comes to fiction writing, it's quite a new thing for me, so I'd be interested in what people think of it, really. It's taken a few years to write all of the stories. It's 112 pages in total, so relatively long. The longest story is Oddballs Inherited the Earth, which I mentioned before. And yeah, I think I'll leave it quite short, snappy. I don't want to get ramble on for too long. You can check it out below, purchase it. Like I said, there's an ebook and physical paperback version. I mean, I personally like the paperback. I like buying actual books, but if you want to get the ebook, then you can get that as well, hopefully, by the time this video is up.